Everybody. So, hope you're all doing well. I'm sorry I'm way late for this. I seem to always be about 45 minutes or half an hour late to these live streams. So, maybe you should just plan on that next time I post for one. but but we're here to talk about what I've been watching stage and screen as a professional theater and film critic. It's always a lot of fun. And I have a lot more to talk about when it comes to stage in this episode than I do screen, but there's still some fun stuff to talk about. So let's dive in. I have the chat room open, I have the super chat. So if you have a question that you want me to answer, I'd be happy to do it as long as it's pertinent to what we're talking about. But yeah, let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is over on Hallmark Channel, they had a series, just two movies of Barcelona themed movies, To Barcelona with Love and To Barcelona Forever. I really enjoyed both of these movies. They were both starring Allison Sweeney and Ashley Williams, and I'm pretty mixed on Allison. Super nice person. She's been very kind to Hallmarkies podcast. Love her, but her movies have not been my favorite, the last kind of bunch of them. But this one is a redeeming one because it was really charming. I really bought Ashley and Allison's chemistry together. Especially the second one, it really leans into the tropes of screwball comedy. Things everybody's lying, everybody's saying half truths. It's got this magical saffron village in there. And so that was a lot of fun. I think these are two of the stronger Hallmark movies, non-Christmas, in quite some time. I thought that the banter written by Julie Sherman Wolfe was top tier, really, really good. And Ron Oliver, he's a very good genre director. He knows how to make them entertaining, and he knows how to shoot them well. This is definitely a gateway Hallmark movie. I think that if you normally roll your eyes at Hallmark movies, I think there's at least a chance, if you're open to rom-coms at all, I think there's a chance that you'd like this one. It is, I think, very, very well executed. And I think it's the kind of thing that back in the day we might have seen like a Julia Roberts or a Marissa Tomei or somebody like that. I could have seen them in something like these two movies. They're really charming and good examples of what Hallmark can provide that really nobody else is providing to. So if you're a genre fan, you really have almost no other choice but to go to Hallmark. And these are pretty good ones. So that was fun. Then I saw F1, the movie. Now, I definitely am a huge sucker underdog sports movies. So this is pretty easy win for me. I just almost always like them. You're cheering, you're rooting. It's funny because I'm not a sports fan really at all, except for maybe swimming. And I do like watching the Olympics. But other than that, I'm not really a sports fan, but I do really like sports movies. And this was just so satisfying. It was so entertaining. The racing sequences are amazing. I thought that Brad Pitt has like huge, huge charisma and star power in this. He really makes it all work. I thought the story was formulaic, but in an entertaining way. Like I almost enjoyed the predictability of it. That was kind of, oh, how are they going to pull off this scene? How are they going to do that? And kind of waiting for what's going to happen. That was fun to me and so well made. It looks great on the IMAX. Highly recommend. You've got Hans Zimmer's score. This is just an entertaining movie. People are saying it's like the ultimate dad movie. It's the ultimate dad and mom movie. It's the ultimate person movie. Just very entertaining, and I highly recommend checking it out. So F1, the movie, I don't know anything about F1. Like literally, I had to ask the guy next to me, like, what the heck is it? And I actually served my mission in Indianapolis, so I am familiar a little bit with IndyCar racing. And so I asked him, what's the difference between IndyCar racing and F1? And so my seatmate kind of tried to explain it to me that it's like more intense, and it's in Europe, and all this stuff. So I literally know nothing more than what the person next to me told me in about 3 minutes. So I am sure that fans will be kind of annoyed by some of the, like, his crazy driving techniques where he's like making everybody slow down, and there's other stuff. Like, I'm sure that that they'll have a lot of problems with some of that. But as somebody who doesn't know anything about it, I thought it really built tension well. It was really exciting. You wanted to see how it was all going to play out. And so yeah, it's basically Top Gun Maverick, but with cars, except for not quite as charming as Top Gun Maverick. Like, that one's an all-timer. This is just really fun. So I'd be surprised if there's another blockbuster that I think is as good as this until probably Wicked. I'm just guessing, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, a huge win for me for F1, the movie. Okay, then we had two Broadway pro shots that I watched this month. Of course, I cover theater over on Stage Blog, and I love watching theater, and especially I enjoy a good pro shot. And these both were good. So let's talk about Yellowface. This is still on PBS. For both of these I'm going to talk about are on PBS until July 1st. So if you want to watch it, you only have a few more days to watch Yellowface and to watch Next to Normal, and then it'll, like, I don't know, disappear. Like, I don't know where you'll be able to watch it, what will happen. But Yellowface, it is a pretty funny comedy. It's a play, a straight play about Daniel Day Kim and his journey is trying to represent Asian actors, and what happens when he accidentally hires a non-Asian actor to play an Asian role. Then he gets all this pushback. So it has a lot to say about identity and politics and casting and just a bunch of different things like that. It's consistently funny throughout. Of course, the Francis Ju, he won the Tony Award for this role, and he's very funny. He's very good. And so, yeah, I think that you'll be entertained. This stars Daniel Day Kim. The only thing that I would say against this, knock against this play, is that I think it has too many characters. Like, we don't need to have every single person that this guy worked with. We don't need to have every single every single person involved with this process in any way. I think it could have been like more streamlined. Like, we get to see his castmates for a lot of this. Like, Jane Krakowski is I mean, actress playing her, and things like that. Like, I think it maybe was a bit over ambitious that way, and this would probably be better with a two-hander, and that's it. But it's still funny. It's still insightful. It's an enjoyable watch. It is an unreliable narrative, so take everything with a grain of salt, like, of what he's saying. But I think it kind of proves a point about inclusivity and what happens when we're trying almost too hard to represent a race as opposed to just telling a good story. So yeah, Yellowface, I think that one was pretty entertaining. I enjoyed it. So then we have Next to Normal. So this was the pro shot of the West End staging with Casey, that was done with Casey Levy and Jamie Parker. And I was watching this, and I've seen Next to Normal many times, including twice recently. And this year I've seen it twice. And I always admire it, and I think it certainly does have some compelling moments and compelling songs. But I was thinking about it this time watching this, that I wonder sometimes with Next to Normal, if we give it more credit for having, especially when it came out, having the guts to talk about these topics of mental illness and marriage and how it affects the family and all this stuff. If we give it more credit for daring to tackle that without it actually doing it all that well, it's pretty heavy-handed, and it's pretty like one note in its depiction of ironically bipolar disorder. And I don't know, like I kind of wonder if it just it's so all encompassing. Like it's like everything about this woman, and her illness is pretty severe, so maybe that's fair. But I feel like most people it's like a mixture of everything, whereas this it's so like this is her everything. Her whole life is just overwhelmed by her grief and by her bipolar disorder. And so that's kind of a wonder if it could have been more nuanced, more interesting, less judgmental, particularly of Dan and or the doctors and stuff. But it's trying to say something, and I appreciate that. But again, I kind of wonder if we kind of give it maybe a little too much credit for what it's trying to do rather than does this succeed? I don't know. If you're watching and you've seen Next to Normal, let me know what you think about that. I would be very curious. And there's obviously certain things about it that don't hold up well, the way that even her doctors basically lie to her. I think that would be could be like malpractice. Like you can't lie to your patients as a doctor. Like you need to tell them like what's going on. So I don't know. I like it, but I kind of wish I loved it more. But it is. I always admire anybody who puts it on. There was nothing like super amazing about this pro shot. Like this was very par for the course, Next to Normal, which is like impressive. But like there wasn't anything that was like, wow, this is particularly amazing. Like with the Anything Goes pro shot, unbelievable. Unbelievable. That one is so good. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Next to Normal Pro Shot. Then we have K-pop Demon Hunters. So this is new to Netflix, which I think is such a shame because this would be a really fun movie to watch in a crowd with everybody kind of cheering and getting into it and the songs and everything, because it's so enjoyable. Like these girls all have really good chemistry. And I was saying how in some ways I think that this movie could have been a more successful Ghostbusters 2016 if they had like taken some of those attributes and applied it to that movie. I think it could have worked better. The humor, the action, the camaraderie, in this case the beautiful animation, it's a beautiful movie to look at. But this movie's just really entertaining. It's really funny. It's got the action. It's got the great songs, beautiful animation. So I don't know what else you could ask for in an animated film. I just wish it wasn't on Netflix so that more people would see it and we could get it out. I could see it in the theaters. But if you haven't seen it, like I am not a K-pop person. Like I think I know BTS. I think that's the only band I'm even aware of. So I don't know any of the songs. I don't know anything about it. And so I can't speak to it on that level. But I didn't need to be able to still be entertained. Like you don't have to be a K-pop fan to be entertained by this film. It's just entertaining. So check it out. It's definitely my favorite animated film of 2025 so far. Okay, then next we had Elio. I've talked quite a bit about Elio. I talked about it in my children's Why Are There No Children in Disney video. I've done recaps. I did a whole review on my blog. So definitely check all of that out. I think Elio is fine. They're cute moments, but I think it's more for like little kids. Especially the middle section where they're on the island. Like it felt very like Adventures in Space, like kind of little kids. And I think just a lot of the parents taking the little kids will be kind of bored by it. And since I am not a little kid and I don't have little kids, like I was kind of bored with it. It's not awful. Like it's watchable, but I just don't think it quite does what it needs to do. Like you feel the different directors, you feel the changes of tone, you feel that it was kind of hashed together, but it does have those nice elements. It does have those good things. I can understand why people might enjoy it. It's just a little boring. So just know what you're getting into when you go and see it, I would say, with Elio. And it's really funny to me because Pixar is like making all this big deal about the fact that they made beautiful sand, beautiful sand in Elio. I don't care if you made beautiful sand. Like, sure, I like well animated films, but do something that surprises me. Do something that's exciting, like the opening action sequence in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, or even the scenes in some of the more abstract, interesting scenes in Inside Out 2, something like that. Like, do something that's like entertaining and surprising. Don't just say I made great sand. I mean, come on. That's what I think. But for like little kids, this movie's fine. But for everybody else, I would say probably you can wait and watch it on Disney Plus. Then next is Megan 2.0. So I just saw this yesterday, and this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's hard because I know that genre fans will be irritated by this film because it doesn't have like almost no horror moments. It has like literally I watched this movie Bride Hard before it, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it has more like gruesome deaths and like I guess tense scenes than Megan 2.0 has, which is saying something because Bride Hard is not a horror in any way, shape, or form. But this thing is pure camp. It's pure silliness. It's pure nonsense. I laughed quite a bit. I had fun with it. It knows it knows it's silly. It knows it's camp. I enjoyed it, especially there's a sequence where where Megan starts singing, which is really funny. I can see why some people wouldn't like this. If I think if you like Happy Death Day and those movies, I think you'll probably like this. They're I think very similar in their in what they're going for. I think both of those are very very similar. So I would think about that before going to see Megan 2.0. I do think it might be a pretty big hit because it is entertaining on the sort of superficial. I just want a campy, silly movie. Then it's entertaining. But certainly, like if you're going in expecting a horror movie, then you'll be disappointed because it's not at all. And it's kind of like what they've been doing with rom coms. Like if you go in with a certain expectation, then you're going to be let down when they don't deliver. So that's kind of where things are at with Megan 2.0. Then Bride Hard, like I just talked about. So Bride Hard, it's like supposed to be like a riff on Die Hard, but it's Bride Hard. And I think that all of the people involved in this are trying really hard to make this work. With Anna Camp and Rebel Wilson, Divine Joy Randolph, like all those people are incredibly talented and they all have their moments in this. But Sherry Cola is in this. Has some moments. Like they all have their moments. They're all trying as hard as they can to make this work. It just falls so flat. It's just not funny. It's not like it's so weak. It really felt like, okay, they have put Rebel Wilson Bride Hard movie in an AI and this is what spit out. Like there's just nothing inspired. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing funny. And I love me a formula film. I was just saying that about Megan. But at least that kind of has some camp value. This doesn't even have that. Like this is just really lame. How this movie got a theatrical, I will never know. There's nothing about this that doesn't just scream Netflix original movie. Like maybe I guess the cast, but they're not like that big of names. So I have no idea why this was viewed as theatrical, but it didn't work for me really hardly at all. So it's a shame because I love Anna Camp and Rebel Wilson. Fat Amy forever. But yeah, this one didn't work. So let's talk about what I've seen on stage. Okay, so I saw Tarzan. This was at Harriman, and this was an incredible production. Like they had so many great touches. Like I loved. There's a whole scene. I mean, there's a whole setup on the stage where they have all these vines and they have this scaffolding, and they set up like a jungle gym, like monkey bars. And that was so clever because then they were able to make it look like they're swinging through the stage. Like like apes. That was so smart. I thought there's so many clever touches like that in this in this musical, and it really elevated it for me. I think I had Tarzan, I think, pretty low when I did my Disney theatricals ranking. I had it pretty low, but it just shows what a talented cast can do and what a talented director can do with creative choices. Plus, they had a full orchestra. It's like, this is entertaining. The young Tarzan and adult Tarzan were both so good. I mean, you would just never believe that at like the local community park pavilion, you could see this quality of a production. The only hard part is that they're in like a really echoey space. And so that is challenging, but it was very fun. I really enjoyed that Tarzan. But isn't that a clever idea with the monkey bars? I thought that was so smart. Oh, that was awesome. Okay. Then I saw Abominable on the big screen. I forgot to mention that. I did get to see that in re-release. So that was pretty fun. I saw An American in Paris. This was at the Ruth, which is a new this year theater. It went from being Hale Center Theater Orem to being the Ruth. And American in Paris, this was amazing. Like the dancing and the costumes and the lighting and everything. Like, don't go to this for the plot. The plot is very minimal, as is with the movie. The plot is very minimal. It's more just about the dancing. I almost say, like, go into it expecting sort of a ballet. Like, that's the kind of experience it is, as opposed to the it's yeah, that's just the kind of experience that this is, as opposed to like a strong narrative. So then we have so we got a comment. How would you feel if Universal Pictures DreamWorks make a live action Rise of the Guardians? I'd be okay with that. It's fine. I think there's enough story there in those books, The Rise of the Guardians, and like I don't think it would be a shot for shot remake of the animated film, and it's mostly characters that I think would work well enough in live action. So I think they could actually do something quite different. And there's been enough time since that Rise of the Guardians, and not enough people saw it, so it could kind of give attention to the original animated film, which was underrated. So I wouldn't like, that's one of the ones, if I was going to say do a live action remake, like, I still hate the trend, but like that's a pretty interesting one, just because I think it could be quite a different story, because there's multiple, like I think multiple books and stuff that you could do Rise of the Guardians. So that's interesting. Okay, so then as far as stage, but in American Paris, that was amazing. It's like a ballet, though. I saw Newsies at Heritage. This was really, really fun. They truly do think of everything. They had a live band, which is unheard of. This is a community theater that's inside a restored church, which is cute, cute, cute. I love the community spirit there, but they just keep improving and doing more, and it's really exciting. I really enjoyed it. I mean, people are getting a little tired of Newsies. It has done a lot, and I can understand that. I still have quite a bit of nostalgia for it, but yeah, this was a good presentation. The Jack Kelly was great, so charming, so good. Okay, then I saw Something Rotten twice. The first time was at Hope Box Theater, and Hope Box is wonderful because they have a Hope Box recipient for every single play that they do, and they're fundraising for the Hope Box recipient who has cancer. And so there's a real nice mission to everything that they do, but they don't lean on that mission. They use it as a catalyst for them to do some amazing work. And I really do love Something Rotten. I think it's so funny. And this one, they really leaned into the Easter eggs and had a lot of references to musicals. So as a musical fan, that was hilarious. The one at Murray City Arts, they did have a full orchestra, which is incredible. And they were a lot of fun, but they were light on the Easter eggs, light on the it was pretty much just the lyrics. That was the only Easter eggs that they had. So I prefer Hope Box, but they're both a lot of fun. It's just a funny play. It really is. So you should check it out. Okay. So then I saw The Tempest at Drunk Shakespeare. This is at Mad King Productions. I'd never done anything like this before. And so what they do is they have all of the actors starting with a mild drink and like a beer cooler or something like that. And they go through the whole first act. It is shortened for sure, but still go through the first act of The Tempest in this case, and they're very quality actors. They've got a lot of talent. I noticed that a lot of them were theater grads or the kind of thing. And then the second act, people can basically like buy drinks for the actors to have to drink, and they can serve them non-alcoholic if it's getting too much. They just so it's just like a drink, and they were some of them could hold their liquor better than others. But it felt like it was all pretty controlled. I was surprised how many donations they got, considering our audience was pretty small. But still, it was something new, something fresh I never done before, so I enjoyed that. Then I saw & Juliet. This was the national tour. And I think that this is like a perfectly cute musical, especially if you're like a young girl. Like if you're sort of at that if that like High School Musical kind of, this feels a lot like High School Musical to me. And it's kind of interesting because we just had that Juliet and Romeo movie, which basically tries to do what & Juliet does, but with original songs as opposed to jukebox songs. And that was terrible. This is fine for what it is. Like it's entertaining enough. Like I feel like it's a shame they didn't tap into like the deeper themes of Romeo and Juliet. It's like purely a romance plot. They like don't really tap into the family divisions, the hate, the all of that they had to deal with. So then I think that could have made it like much better, but it's very surface level, but it still is entertaining. Um, okay, so okay, so we have here it says Google Eyes says the third Bad Guys film will come out in 2028. Take this with a grain of salt. Yeah, I mean it completely depends on how well this new one does. So we'll see. Uh, Okay, so then I saw Cats at Centerpoint, and this was really exciting because it's their new second stage, and this was like I don't know how you could expect more from a community theater, especially with what Centerpoint is charging. Like it's an immersive black box experience. The Grisabella is Jessica Andrews is her name. She's so good, unbelievable. Like you feel kind of bad that somebody with that talent is in this tiny community, this smaller community theater. Like she should be on Broadway. She's so good, and all the costumes, the makeup, everything. It was a fun night of theater. In Cats, you kind of have to look at it as I call it an introductoral. It's not really a musical. There really isn't plot. It's just like Andrew Lloyd Webber introducing you to characters for 2 hours. So whatever, the songs are pretty good and it's weird and different. So then I saw Something Rotten at Murray Arts. I think the two brothers were really good. It was so hot that night that I admired them for even getting through it. There was a lot of tap dancing, the full orchestra. It's enjoyable. Like I like the one at Hope Box a little better just because I think it's funnier, especially with how it does the Easter eggs, but still both perfectly enjoyable. Okay, then I saw The Scarlet Pimpernel. This was at Music Theater West. This is in Logan. And it was it's a long drive for me, so it's got to be worth it. And this was worth it for particularly as Chauvelin. The three leads, Marguerite and her accent was incredible. Overall, it is entertaining, but it's a pretty generic musical. The songs, the what it's doing. They had an incredible piece of fight choreography towards the end, and that was really, really fun. I enjoyed that. The way that the sword fighting and the way it was choreographed all over the stage, that was incredible. So this is like a pretty basic musical. It feels like it's borrowing from so many other musicals, but it's certainly like watchable and entertaining enough. And they did a very good job with what they had, especially those three leads. Did incredible. So okay, then I saw a Creekside Theater Fest, and this is still going on. I'm going to actually see Into the Woods on Friday. But they had the Boxcar Children. This is inside. This is a one act that's in a black box that was written by Melissa Leone Larson, who I've had on this podcast and over at Onstage Blog. She's a very good writer. And she took the first Boxcar Children book and converted it into this one act play. And some of the adults were a little buffoonery. They were a little silly, but it's for kids. You're trying to kind of show them right and wrong and in a short amount of time, one act. So I can understand why they made the decisions they made. I really liked the set, this boxcar that was really like cute and charming. And so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is. And it was fun to get to go with my dad because he has fond memories of Boxcar Children. I mean, what kid doesn't want to be an orphan when you're little? Like an orphan and rescuing your siblings and taking care of everything. Like that's very appealing for a little kid. Okay, then that night we saw we saw Henry V, or I saw Henry V, and this was in their outdoor location, and it was crazy. There was some kind of bizarre windstorm. It felt like there was going to be a tornado. Like I haven't seen that kind of wind for so long, and it was so cold. But luckily, somebody next to me gave me a blanket, which was really nice. But the wind was so loud that you could not hear the actors because it was unmiked. But by the end, it kind of felt like we had persevered through this difficult challenges together. And, you're kind of like proud that you've gotten through it. And so it was a very memorable experience. When he does the St. Crispin Day speech, it's like, yes, it's like a whole new level of victory. So I give them a lot of credit for sticking it through. So we have that the Wild Robot sequel will come out in 2028 also. Yeah, I mean, we also have to remember that the Wild Robot was really pretty cheap to make. So it would be more appealing to make more of those as opposed to Rise of the Guardians, which was very expensive to make. So that's something to sort of figure as well. Okay. So then I saw Big Fish, the musical. This was the first time that I had ever seen this musical. It's been put on a bunch, but I just never gotten to see it. And it'd been a while since I've seen the movie, so I was going in fairly fresh. And I think that it's not like the best musical I've ever seen as far as the book and the songs, but this production was pretty incredible. Wonderful performances. There's so many things that you have to balance in order to do this show. There's so many different kinds of costumes, so many different kinds of just everything. So I thought it was very impressive kind of what they pulled off. Even if like the show itself, I don't know if I'd be super inclined to see it again, but it's interesting to see it once and check it off my list. And they have this theater is so underrated, Kensington. They do an incredible job. They have live orchestra for every single main show. So you should check it out if you're in the area. So that is everything that I have seen stage and screen since my last update. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of all the different things I've talked about. What have you gotten to watch on stage or screen? Have you seen any of these before? I would love to hear your thoughts on all of that. What are you excited for coming up? I definitely looking forward to Superman. It's going to be interesting. Fantastic Four will be interesting. And also, I did see Sorry Baby, which released this week at Sundance. And that's actually quite a good little movie, coming of age sort of story, but it's funny. It has a little bit of romance. So if you want to try out an indie, that's one that I would recommend is Sorry Baby from Sundance. So there we go. That is everything that I have to say. So thank you so much. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything that I'm doing. And you can be part of watch-alongs and patron events, and also get bonus episodes. We just had a bonus episode this week. So take a look at that with some of my thoughts of who might win the 2025 Oscar for Best Animated Feature. So if you want to hear that, then you should check out the Patreon. I really try to make it worth your investment, make it worth your while. And then I have the merch store where you can get tons of fun designs. Check that out. That helps us out a lot. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.